Since we have been sharing these mysterious creatures, you should know by now that they are no longer hiding. And now, we are about to show the latest discoveries. From urban sightings to deep forest encounters, it feels like the line between fiction and reality is getting thinner every day. However, some clips might still make you skeptical, while others might leave you genuinely unsettled. And trust me, the final encounter is the kind of footage that stays in your head long after the video ends. This clip starts in a downtown Los Angeles parking lot, where a night patrol suddenly turns unsettling.
Oh my God! What the hell is that? Stay back.
The security guard, who also identifies as an amateur cryptozoologist, films a horned, bearded creature scrambling beneath a tree as dry leaves swirl around it. His voice cracks as he shouts for distance, sounding genuinely frightened rather than performative. Some viewers argue this is evidence of an undiscovered urban cryptid, while others insist it is a costume or staged prank. Critics point to camera blur and low light, but believers say the movement feels too organic to fake. What if this was not a hoax, but a rare glimpse of something hiding in plain sight? This encounter reportedly happened in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, in October 2016, during a quiet night shoot. A local tour guide and wildlife enthusiast captured what looks like a massive winged creature perched on a signpost before launching into the dark sky as a dog barked frantically below. Some people think it resembles a chupacabra or vampire-like entity, while skeptics argue it could be an oversized bat, distorted by lighting and camera exposure. In my view, the sheer wingspan and confident takeoff make it harder to dismiss outright. Could this be an extreme biological outlier, or are we projecting folklore onto misunderstood wildlife? This moment begins at Oakwood Cemetery in Illinois during October 2019. Under emotionally charged circumstances. A bereaved wife visits her husband's grave as a friend. A photography enthusiast and part-time journalist films the scene. A ghostly white figure with long dark hair appears briefly before vanishing when the woman turns around. People online were divided, some attributing it to grief, emotional projection, or lighting anomalies, while others viewed it as a genuine spiritual manifestation. Could intense emotion somehow shape what the camera captures, or did this lens record something beyond our understanding? This clip opens on Rue de Rivoli in Paris, as a freelance journalist films the city at night. The camera captures a strange humanoid figure darting across the road, then seemingly passing through the rear of a parked car before vanishing. Some audiences believe it could be a paranormal entity or urban spirit, while others argue it is simply a person in costume or a digital glitch caused by motion blur and low frame rate. In my opinion, the way the figure moves with urgency gives the scene an eerie authenticity that feels difficult to fully dismiss. Are we witnessing technical distortion, or a fleeting glimpse of something we are not meant to see? This scene begins in Brooklyn's Prospect Park during a late-night student film project.
Oh my God. They're gone.
A film student and nocturnal explorer captures a small, oddly shaped figure with a rounded white head shuffling alone into the darkness as he whispers in shock. Some viewers interpret the footage as evidence of a ghostly presence or interdimensional being, while others claim it could be a person in costume or a homeless individual moving through the park. Critics emphasize low light grain and camera shake as reasons for misinterpretation. Still, the isolated movement and unnatural posture leave a lingering discomfort. What if some urban spaces quietly host phenomena we are too quick to rationalize away? This footage begins deep in the Andaman Islands during an anthropological field expedition. A tribal researcher filming remote communities captures what appear to be 6 dogmen standing still in the jungle, some holding spears and wearing minimal clothing. Public reactions ranged from fascination to disbelief, with some arguing they represent ancient shapeshifter myths, while others suggested a cultural ritual staged for the camera. Critics questioned the authenticity and possible exploitation of indigenous imagery, yet believers viewed it as proof of cryptids tied to lost traditions. People think this video exposes either a hidden tribe or something far more mysterious. Are we seeing misunderstood humans or echoes of ancient legends made real? This clip begins in the Amazon rainforest as a wildlife photographer tracks nocturnal birds.
Este es el pájaro que se anda llevando las gallinas.
Míralo bien, es bastante extraño.
Espero que se vea bien, no me puedo acercar más.
Parece que va a ser algo.
The camera captures a bizarre avian creature with long, ear-like structures, an extended mouth, and an unsettling scream that repeats in rhythmic intervals. Some audiences label it a demon bird or folklore creature, while others argue it could be an undocumented or rare species amplified by audio distortion. Critics question the sound quality and the photographer's editing choices, but believers claim the vocal pattern feels too deliberate to be accidental. The raw fear in the filmer's breathing adds emotional weight to the moment. Could this be proof that the Amazon still hides species science has yet to classify? This video reportedly dates back to 1997 in the Manche forest of Peru, during a cryptozoological expedition. An explorer searching for traces of lost civilizations films a motionless figure resembling a Nazca-inspired alien, standing silently among dense foliage. Some viewers believe it represents extraterrestrial surveillance or an ancient guardian of the forest, while skeptics claim it could be a camouflaged person or a fabricated prop. Critics highlight the grainy quality and lighting limitations, but believers interpret the stillness as intentional rather than accidental. In my perspective, the lack of movement makes the image feel disturbingly deliberate. Could this be a staged illusion or a rare moment of contact with the unknown? This clip begins in Rotorua Forest in New Zealand as a wildlife biologist tracks nocturnal activity.
Los santo cielo, ¿lo estás viendo? Es enorme. Nunca vi algo así.
The camera captures a creature with long ears, wing-like limbs, and clawed legs moving with slow, deliberate steps, each footfall producing a sharp crunch. Some viewers interpret it as a Maori spirit or an evolutionary relic, while others argue it resembles a large bird distorted by perspective or costume design. Critics question the anatomy and lighting, yet believers insist its posture appears too calculated to be human. The tension in the footage keeps audiences unsettled long after it ends. What if certain ecosystems harbor beings that blur the boundary between myth, evolution, and imagination? This scene opens in El Avila National Park in Venezuela as a journalist investigates paranormal lore. Two shadowy figures sprint down a road, one seemingly vanishing into thin air, while the other collapses in confusion. Some viewers believe the clip shows spiritual entities or interdimensional beings, while others suggest it could be animals, costumed performers, or a trick of night vision distortion. Critics emphasize the limitations of infrared cameras, but believers argue the sudden disappearance defies simple explanation. From my angle, the second creature's stumble feels unexpectedly human, adding emotional realism to the chaos. Are we observing camera illusion or a fragment of something that defies conventional physics? This footage begins inside an abandoned asylum in Romania during a security patrol. A night guard captures a winged, erratic creature pacing an isolation room, screaming repeatedly under harsh white lighting. Some people claim it could be a supernatural entity tied to the asylum's troubled history, while others believe it might be an animal or an experimental hoax designed to shock viewers. Critics challenge the clip's authenticity and suggest staged theatrics, but believers view it as evidence of possession or paranormal residue. In my opinion, the frantic pacing and repeated vocalizations feel unsettlingly purposeful. What if abandoned institutions quietly preserve emotional energy that manifests in ways we cannot yet explain? This clip begins near the rainforest fringes outside Hong Kong during a wildlife photography session. The camera captures a strange ape-reptilian hybrid with jagged ridges along its back as it rears up and retreats into thick undergrowth. Some audiences describe it as a mythical longwang or a genetic anomaly, while the skeptics believe it could be a mutated animal or a costumed prank. Critics question the image clarity and motion blur, but believers argue its movement appears biomechanically unique. The brief visibility leaves more questions than answers. Could environmental pressures be producing unexpected evolutionary traits? Or are we misinterpreting shadows shaped by fear and imagination? This clip begins in Belo Horizonte, Brazil, during a nighttime disturbance outside a private home. A local businessman films a strange noise and captures an alien-like figure with an oversized head, sharp ridges, and piercing eyes crouched near scattered bricks before another man rushes in to block the camera. Some viewers believe this interruption suggests a cover-up of an extraterrestrial encounter, while others argue it was staged for shock value. Critics question the timing and the abrupt ending, but believers insist the creature's design looks too intricate to be a simple prop. Could this footage represent a failed attempt to hide something extraordinary, or just a clever internet fabrication? This scene begins in rural Pennsylvania at dusk as an amateur filmmaker documents wildlife activity. The camera captures a strange entity with a long, dragging tail, spiked back edges, and a slow, methodical gait moving through dry underbrush. Some people argue it resembles a mutated animal or an undiscovered species, while others believe it is a costumed performer exploiting low light for effect. Critics analyze the anatomy and movement patterns, but believers interpret its controlled pace as predatory rather than theatrical. From my standpoint, the creature's deliberate pauses make the encounter feel calculated. Could this be a rare biological anomaly, or a chilling reminder of how little we truly know about remote ecosystems? This clip begins in the front yard of a residential building as someone casually records their surroundings. The video captures a horned, humanoid figure emerging from a house and steadily approaching the person filming, its posture giving off an unsettling confidence. Some viewers suggest it could be a skinwalker inspired by folklore, while others argue it might be a person in elaborate costume. Critics point to camera shake and possible staging, but believers insist the creature's movement appears unnervingly fluid. The way it advances without hesitation amplifies the tension. What could explain horns paired with such human-like motion, and why does the encounter feel more intentional than accidental? This CCTV clip begins with a quiet residential fence line under nighttime surveillance. The camera captures a monkey-like creature perched on the fence, staring and vocalizing toward a barking dog that fails to scare it away. Some people think it could be an escaped exotic animal, while others believe it represents an unknown cryptid displaying territorial behavior. Critics highlight the limited resolution and argue it could be a misidentified animal or a prank. However, believers claim its posture and facial structure look unusually humanoid. In my view, the creature's refusal to retreat suggests intelligence rather than instinct. Could this indicate an adaptive species evolving closer to human behavior than we realize? This clip begins on a farm-like setting where a strange trespass unfolds near a fowl cage. A winged, humanoid creature is seen entering the enclosure, grabbing a bird, and taking off with remarkable speed and coordination. Some viewers believe it represents a cryptid or engineered hybrid, while skeptics argue it could be staged using props or trained animals. Critics question the video's editing and timing, but believers focus on the flight mechanics, claiming they appear biologically plausible. From my perspective, the urgency of its movement suggests instinctual predation rather than performance. What kind of being would combine human-like form with fully functional wings, and how could it remain undocumented? This clip begins in a forested, wildlife-heavy environment where three griffin-like creatures appear together. The footage shows two of them lifting into the sky, echoing the mythological description of griffins as lion-bodied, eagle-headed beings from Persian, Egyptian, and Greek lore. Some audiences believe this represents a long-lost species that inspired ancient art, while others dismiss it as CGI or an elaborate hoax. Critics argue the motion could be digitally enhanced, but believers insist the synchronized flight looks natural. People wonder whether myths were born from imagination or forgotten encounters with real creatures. Could ancient civilizations have documented beings that modern science has yet to rediscover? This clip begins with a label reading Himalaya 1996, reportedly filmed by the grandfather of the uploader. The video shows a strange, griffin-like creature without wings walking along a remote road, as if it naturally belongs there. Some viewers think it could be a rare cryptid, while others argue it might be a large animal misidentified due to low resolution. Critics question the clip's age and authenticity, but believers view it as evidence of an undocumented species surviving in isolation. In my opinion, the creature's unhurried stride makes the scene feel strangely authentic. What would you call a being that resembles a griffin, yet defies every known classification?